All right. What's good, you guys? As always, good to be here. Go ahead, say hi in the chat if you can. You guys might have noticed, we do have a new code for those that want to subscribe to STAX. It is eRoo loves STAX, which I do, by the way. It's also down in the description box below in the case you don't know how to spell it. um, we got a extensive show for you guys today. I'll be waiting for Max to join. We do not have any big earnings to go over, so the focus today is going to be on our STAX flow and discussing a couple of things in terms of finding good setups. And I'm gonna keep an eye out. Our WaveX is having a little bit of an issue today, where the spot price doesn't seem to be updating, but I will discuss a little bit about what's going on when it comes down to our WaveX. We've had a lot of people asking how to use it, and we do have a introduction video that Max put together. It is in the TG Trades channel. It is already pinned in there as well. Let's just show you guys so you can see it. If you go into TG Trades, which is Max's channel, you go on the top right here. Go under pinned messages, you can see there's the WaveX breakdown. This was right when we released it. I will put together a more extensive one. Today we'll talk about it, and once the WaveX spot price is fixed, I'll be able to give you guys a more in-depth one. As always, if you guys are in here in the chat, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button for me. It's just us trying to figure out how to get YouTube to push our video out to more viewers on a regular basis. Most of you guys are in here due to our STAX or Investor Central. Some of you guys are probably in here due to TraderLink or Invest IQ. As always, you can shout your group out over there and let me know what got you guys in here. There's Max for you guys. He's probably still streaming on his end, so I don't know if we'll get to see his beautiful face or not.
I'm still on stream on my end, so hold on. Give me I'm gonna mute myself. Give me 20 seconds to end this and send everybody over here. Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. BRB.
Today's flow, let's just jump right into that right here. Flow scanner, as always, what I like to do is I like to go and check off and see what's going on in just the day. Remember, our default for our flow scanner will give you the week so far. Oh, let's go ahead and so you guys see this. I've been streaming on our Discord lately, so OBS is the streaming platform I use. I gotta remember to switch things over. It's not as simple as Discord. But today, remember, I go in here, I will pull up our flow scanner, hit equals, click today, hit apply. That way we can filter for just today to see what's coming in. We see NVIDIA, AMD, some Amazon. These are all actually pretty bullish. At least a 2-to-1 ratio when you consider it. This one's even more, 3-to-1. Amazon, definitely more bullish on this side. GLD, ARM, I'm going to talk about. I think it's about to break out. We see Lyft. We had 2 STAX AI prints for Lyft come in today. I'm going to show you guys the chart. I think it consolidated just enough. I think it's ready for another move up. Silver, IWM is pretty much even, 3.7 to 3.64. Lucid looking a little bit more bearish. UNH, there's definitely a lot of interest in UNH coming in. Broadcom, Oracle is we're starting to see, we actually did see a STAX AI Oracle position come in today. CRDO, that's got 0 puts to it. Rocket looking a little bit bearish. SMH, I always think shake my head, but that's the semiconductor ETF, SMH, looking a little bit bearish. Interesting though, because we do have AMD making brand new all-time highs, Nvidia attacking the upper bound as well. So interesting to see. They're probably maybe taking some hedges against some protection on that position. IBIT, Marvel or Marvel. Please, somebody tell me how to pronounce that one. I think of Marvel the comics, but it's probably Marvel to be honest. 3.85 million to 0. MicroStrategy. Alibaba actually looking a little bit bearish. They're still in an accumulation. They've broken out. I also will point out some things about the. Oh, my bad, Max. I got carried away talking. There we go. StubHub, Figma, Snow. We'll talk about all that. There's a lot of names to go over today, and things to discuss. One of the ones that I want to point out, I totally missed this. I think it was yesterday. POET, Poet. That ticker did come in during the day yesterday. A lot of, when you go through the flow, certain things just start to stick out in terms of new names or names that are popping up consistently, whether it is bullish or bearish. And Poet's definitely one of those. It's been popping like crazy lately. But as we get further down here, these are ones I want you to remember. Anything under $1 million, especially for some of these companies that are, billions of dollars of market cap, take it with a grain of salt. It does mean that they do have a little bit more of a bullish lean to it, possibly, or in like this case, Delta Airlines, a little bit more bearish. But just remember, money speaks in these markets, and that's why we always filter these with the total overall. I do always like to take a quick peek over here on total puts. I'll filter for it to see where I have extreme bullish sentiment. Lift, we have UNH, CRDO, Marvell, MicroStrategy, StubHub, Snow, Poet, Dollar Tree, UAL. So definitely a lot of these that have come in. All right, Max, what's going on with you today? Anything that sticks out, and how did your stream go? If you guys haven't, by the way, you gotta go join Max on his stream when you guys can. He does usually do his flow analysis, and he does his live streams throughout the day, while our closing bell show is generally reserved for the end of day to review what's gone on in the flow.
Yeah. So today we did catch the bottom on SPY from levels that we drew out yesterday. So here, Eric, I'll just send you like a screenshot of my markup. Now, mind you, if you do join my stream, the nice part is I chart everything in like real time. So this isn't like after the move happens. This is all stuff in zones that are drawn out from like previous days. And like that was our SPY chart for the day, basically.
Let me pull that up real quick.
And the one thing that we're starting to use a lot are these death cross zones. So like where you see essentially your your bull flag and your bear flag cross, that is a point where price is going to make a decision on whether it's going to go up or down, right? So as you can see with our SPY chart here, we never really broke the downtrend. We never really broke back down to the downtrend other than when we hit that death cross price point, which was about
671.50.
671.42
Okay.
would be that point. But right above that at the 671.50 level is where we had a big level of support where price was constantly bouncing off of and candles were opening up at. So that's why we had this line drawn there. That red box that it's in, that's a supply zone. So what that's basically saying is, hey, so from yesterday, that's a supply zone where we saw that big sell-off on SPY. So that is a box that I drew yesterday that I just dragged over into today, and that became an actual supply zone for us because as we saw, that's the only point where we really sold off. And then a demand zone was built. And the one thing I want you guys to understand is like when you see these big spikes in candles and like for example, with SPY, like I won't be shocked when we go revisit 671.50 to 669 to do some price discovery at those levels. Another example of this is my meta chart for today. Or no, Dell, I think it was, because we had someone in our chat ask about Dell, and this was what we cooked up. This is what I cooked up over the weekend. Because here's the thing about Dell. It is a slow mover. It has a big market cap, don't get me wrong, and that's because like their sales are absolutely insane. But you can see here we have another death cross at 160.98 on our Dell chart, and it made a decision where it basically stayed in our supply and demand zones for range. So it basically just ranged out until it found and bounced off of our support that we previously established, because again, we see these big green candles, but we see no real price discovery, right? So when you see those big green candles, you're going to see sell-offs at the quote unquote all-time high. But then what you need to understand is this is where support is going to get established, because think of it as, okay, this is where dealers and institutions feel that the price is fair to be at now based on X news hitting. So that's why you'll see these like weird ranges and then see another big aggressive spike up. When we see that next big spike, guess what happens? We range back down into a demand zone where we saw supply prior to that, because we saw that big sell-off from 164.81. Because I don't take the tip of the peaks of those big candles where there's no real liquidity at that point. I look for essentially candlesticks that are like parallel to each other, and then I use those. And once I'm able to draw a support and a resistance at different levels, then I either, if it's below, then it's typically supply. If it's above, that is demand, aka the magnet where price is most likely to go. So if you don't flip these as price moves, like right now for Dell, 162 to 155 is essentially its magnet zone, because that's where it has to go discover price at before it makes its next big move up like it did today from 153 all the way up to 165. So that's really what our whole stream is, and I walk everybody through every single step of what I'm doing in real time as well. So these charts will make more sense if you see it in real time versus like the end of it where it looks like a fucking Jackson Pollock or someone with palsy was trying to chart. So yeah, but I explain my whole process and everything. But today is a range day. Dell obviously had its event and had good news, which, I mean, Dell's attached to NVIDIA. NVIDIA's killing it. Jensen Huang basically came out and said AMD's deal's a sham because they had to give up 10% of their company just so it could happen. So yeah, it's definitely like, it's definitely not, a lot of this stuff is smoke and mirrors right now. And to Eric's point, these companies might have like hundreds of millions and sometimes billions of dollars of a market cap, but like at the end of the day, they aren't selling anything. Like they're not, you can't be like, oh yeah, I ordered a QBTS quantum computer. Like no one's having that conversation, or servers, or whatever the case might be, unless you're an enterprise organization that's injecting money. And at that point, they built you a custom environment of whatever they're supporting you with. So that's one thing to understand about these companies. That's why they're all in shacks, by the way. That's just how most San Francisco startups look. Like people are like, "Oh my God, look at this," and I'm like, "Dude, I worked for a company that got acquired by Adobe, and I had to go to my boss's. We had to go to our CEO's house with his wife and baby, just like chilling there all day while we worked like 14 hours a day just out of this dude's house. Like, it's a normal thing, and we ended up getting acquired by Adobe.
Yep.
So it's like,
You just gotta have computers to work from.
Exactly. Like everybody can get a MacBook Pro.
Yep.
Like so yeah, but that was today's stream. Nothing really exciting or like we didn't really take any new positions other than some meta. Because I found the bottom on meta today. And then so because I saw it sell off and I was like, no, I think it recovers around like 714 to 713. And then as we saw, it was like a beautiful V-shaped recovery on meta for the day today. Because I see a spike. If we get above 718.13 on meta, calls are gonna absolutely just fucking fly.
Well, real quick to build on top of what you talked about with Dell, we did on Monday see these Dell STAX AI calls come in. So for April of next year, the 170 calls, 1.2 million was spent, 1,000 contracts at $12 per share. It was trading at $147.63. Now, here's the thing that I want to point out with STAX AI. I do the back testing. We're gonna pull up those sheets a little bit later for you guys to see. I just finished the last 2 months of back testing. I still got a lot to go through. But the thing is that I like to think of STAX AI as laying the foundation that somebody expects something to happen. Somebody expects some sort of move to come in. And if you take a look over at my chart right here, I'll use this little robot emoji to signal where that STAX AI print was. Okay, it's a little bit, it's going to be not exact, but it's on the day, it's around the price where they got into. Now, the next day, the next morning, we saw a big spike up, and as of today, we saw it go even higher. Something to keep in mind though, it does not always move right away. STAX AI, Max and I have talked about how there are some of them that do have some pretty big drawdowns. But at the end of the day, our backtesting does show that over 90% of them do end up being winners. Winner categorized being at least a 15% move to the upside. In this situation, Dell, within 2 days after that print, is up 13%. That's just the stock. So if you just bought the stock, you put in 10K, you would have been up $1.3 thousand, right? 1.3K. But obviously, with these options, if you go anything shorter dated, you're gonna get, you're gonna be able to leverage your money and be able to get a little bit better of a return comparatively to that. So, just one of the things about STAX AI, we've been shouting it from the rooftops. We've been trying to make sure people understand. All the data is there. It's transparent for you guys to see. We do the back testing in order to help you guys understand what's going on.
And we are also starting to chart the stacks prints as well. So when they come in, we'll pull the chart up and then find like those support and demand levels.
Yeah.
So then if we do buy in, right, and it's something we do buy into, then we can know exactly what range we should average down. Because it'll be like, hey, we think it can bottom here, so like let's go ahead, buy more contracts at a cheaper price, bring our average down. So then when we do see that upside move after it breaks X price, then we can kind of be good to go from there.
Ooh, since April, since the tariff tantrum, this is up 100. We're trying to talk about. Today we saw 4 prints come in for STAX AI. AMD, we can all obviously see AMD already went higher. AMD had their open AI contract. I like to call it the AI circle jerk right now, where money is just being passed around between the rest of them. People are joining in on that circle jerk. That's kind of what's been going on. AMD's the new one to jump in on it. But we also have these two lift contracts are what really stick out to me, because not only, if I go back here, we also have lift from back in September, beginning of September. We see lift come in twice actually, back when it was around $19. And if you go take a look over at the chart, bear with me, I pulled these up. Okay, so I've got multiple of these robots on here right now. As you can see, the robot call out AI STAX AI call out was down here and up here as well. We've already seen this pop up. That was when Lyft announced that they were going to be partnering with shoot, what's that one? It's not Uber, it's the other company.
Waymo.
Yeah, Waymo. They're partnering with Waymo to offer rides in uh forgot it was like
Driverless.
yeah, driverless rides. I believe it was
Yeah.
like Delaware or something like that. It
Arizona.
was it Arizona?
Because
Yeah.
Waymo's been operating out of Arizona. Like I lived there in 2016, and like I remember you could download the Waymo app, and I took like a driverless. It's the weirdest thing ever, by the way, but it's so fucking cool. Like,
Yeah, I've seen some people take videos of it while they're in it. It is the future. So the thing about this chart, and this is what I love, these are some of my higher probability, higher conviction type of plays that I've noticed. Is number one, you have Stacks AI shouting out this play when we're either down near the spring in the LPS, which is called the last point of supply, or even up here when we're starting to see this, what's called the sign of strength, SOS. So Wyckoff is, I like to think of, he was kind of the Robin Hood of the stock market, trying to help steal from the rich to give to the poor. The idea behind what he did, he ran a magazine that was trying to teach the everyday people of how they were losing their money to the big money interests due to the fact that the big money interests were able to push prices around when it came down to the stock market. He came up with these diagrams and these different charts that help us visualize what's supposed to happen with the price. It's not always going to be one to one and direct, but at the end of the day, there is quite a bit of validity to it. I will share what's in my Discord channel in a moment because there are quite a few of these patterns that are starting to play out. And if you actually search Wyckoff in my channel specifically, there's actually a lot of charts that I've posted over the last few years. But I do believe with that recent news with Waymo, as we see more news come in, we're probably going to see this go back into this open gap. Didn't even write gap here, but we got this gap above between $22 to $23 all the way up to about $30. So there's upwards price discovery to be had in terms of this coming back into that gap, and it's something that I do believe not only does big money see that, we've got those four lift prints that have come in, but I think it's a high probability, high conviction type of play that if you have, again, you gotta be patient with some of these. All right, sometimes it might come back down a little bit, sometimes it might take a little bit for it to play out. We are in this upper range, which sometimes does take some time to chop around before we see it move back up. All right. I don't think you're too late for that lift 30 call position. 140 a contract. I got in for, let me see. Yeah, but that's like a 9% move from where they entered. They entered here $1.33 is what it says. So $1.33 for those $30 contracts. The $25 contracts they got in at $2.39. These are both up about like 5 to 10% each at this point. But I don't think it's too late. Usually, and one of the things I do see a lot of times with Stacks prints and Stacks AI prints specifically is that big money is not trying to make 20% off of this $2.6 million they're putting in, this $4.7 million they're putting in. They're looking for at least 150% type of return. They're leveraging their money in order to get those big gains. So if you're worried that, oh, it's already up 10%, 15%, you're not too late on it. There's definitely still a possibility. It could come back down. It could take some time. Keep in mind these are both prints for March. So there's a lot of time for these to play out. Okay. So keep that in mind. When it comes down to Stacks AI, there's a very high probability for those, but you have to be patient. There is a part of what I will discuss in our Stacks AI backtesting. One of our members, Daniel, did us a solid, and he actually went and backtested all of the previous prints to see where the drawdowns have been to. And sometimes if you wait, sometimes you'll see a 50-60% drawdown on some of these prints that we have for Stacks AI. And if that's where you make your entry, that's just compounding the highs at which it can go to. So, you know, if for example, if one of our prints is getting a 200% return from where they entered, and you wait for another 50% drawdown, that's just going to compound it even more. Okay. Um, Quick, I'm just going to peek over here, see if there's anything in today's flow that sticks out before we go back into some more of the charts and those things. I personally recently I've been hiding some of the ETFs just to see what the new, you know, what tickers really stand out. I'll also check off for the buys because that's them getting into new positions. KGC, that's a new one. I haven't seen that before. We do have PCG that's been coming in. We got some more core weave as well. BITF, TSHA, that's kind of new too. We see a lot of BMNR. So that's Tom Lee's company. I think it's been making a move up lately. Obviously, AMD. We saw a lot of NVIDIA this morning too. CIFR, they have a new CEO. This Oracle is a STAX AI print. Oracle did have a pretty big drop from where their highs were after that announcement that they had with NVIDIA, but they have, you know, they've consolidated a little bit. This person thinks it's headed back up. 44% move from where we're at right now by March, which is, I mean, if this truly is a melt up, I think that very, you know, very likely could be a decent target. At least it should make some money off of it. Poet, like I said, we're seeing a lot of. There's a very interesting Twitter post about how all these big CEOs, you know, they're all friends, and Poet's CEO is within that friend group. So that's an interesting one to consider. QUBT Wolf. I like Wolf. I think it still has some room to run. We got. I keep bringing this up. We got out of that one way too early. We had till September on that one. Would our 1K challenge would have like tripled off the bat. AMD, Marvell, Coin. I will point out Webull. A lot of people are expecting Webull to move like how Robinhood did, but you got to keep in mind, I don't think it's gone through full accumulation right now. I think there's actually a little bit of a distributive property coming in. People are already getting into Webull, but I think it actually has a little bit more to fall, so be careful with that one. I was completely wrong about Amazon. Amazon I thought was going to break down a little bit more. It shot up today. All right, nothing completely stands out right now. Yeah, look at all these NVIDIA puts that came in for November here. Just a whole chunk of them right there. So right around like 10:30 over here on the West Coast, we saw a big chunk of that come in. IREN keeps running up like crazy, man. It's up over $60 at this point. I noticed that in the flow a while ago, back when it was around like $20. Just a new ticker that I hadn't seen before starting to show up, and look at where it's at now. So, yeah.
NVIDIA needs to make a move. So I have that charted out. It based off of its previous 1 hour support at 187.83. And then it kind of shot through these two demand zones that I wanted it to reclaim. So really, it's just going to range through the top end of 188.53. I'm looking at the 5-minute, by the way, on the day, just for reference. And then 189, it needs to move to 189.12. If it can reclaim 189.12, it can go back to the previous highs of around 191.21. And those are kind of my targets for the upside. On the downside of things, however, it does have some more room to wiggle because there's more price discovery that needs to occur down at the 186.52 to 183.61 range, because there's not a ton of supply that was built in those zones, or liquidity for that matter. So what could happen is we see a move up to this 189 zone and see it kind of range or attempt to range to 191, and then potentially sell back off into that 180, I'd say 184, 185 to be conservative, and see it range there before it does make another aggressive move back up. to about 205 probably, and that would be by if we're gonna be aggressive, I'd say March or April. If you want to be conservative, I would say June, July. You could see like 215, 220 on the high
Okay.
end.
This is what I see with this so far. It's a Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern, so this is where price does continue and want to go up higher. This down here very possibly is our spring. I wrote our LPS way too early, to be honest. This right here, I believe that's where we're at right now. We're at the upper bound of the range. It's kind of a... Usually you see a much more distinct buying climax up here. Usually you're going to see a giant volume stick down here to signify that's the buying climax, with a shakeout, automatic reaction, a secondary test area. This could be considered the spring, and we've just moved our way back up to it. My yellow lines here showing where we could be going. It was off by a little bit. You know, it didn't retest the highs and didn't go as low, but realistically, the supports that I've drawn from here have been defined from back in July, and it's basically been bound in that range for quite a bit. You could add this other one right here. You could say that right here is another part of this range, because it bounced off, went through support all the way through here, bounces right here, supported back up here. So I think in due time we probably will see another sign of strength. I do, as of right now, Nvidia has a lot of cash to deploy. So whether it's they decide they either want to buy back shares or put up another plan for that, or they're going to acquire some more companies, I think that's going to be the news that ultimately pushes it up higher toward the 200 range. But I wouldn't necessarily be bearish or extremely bearish on this. I do not see it coming back down past the lower end of this range. If anything, 175 would even be a stretch right now. ARM was one that I could really like right now. Very similar as well with what we see. I'm gonna have to pull this out to the daily. ARM was one of the things that I think was the original STAX AI, like it was the kickoff to STAX AI. What I mean is that back when ARM first came to, before this first earnings where their price shot up like crazy, we saw so many big money ARM calls come in. They just layered in on it. It was like millions at a time, all aiming for 2026 and things like that. And what do you know? When we saw that report come in, we saw ARM jump up over 100% in terms of those calls, or in terms of the stock itself. So those calls were definitely multipliers. So, I haven't seen that type of action in a while, preparing for that type of movement, but it's definitely one of those that's a big game changer. Since then, you can imagine this, like I said, the buying climax is generally going to be identified by this huge volume bar that we have in here. And as you can see, that huge volume bar, we reacted away from it. We had a shakeout. We reacted back to the upside, the automatic reaction. We haven't seen this automatic reaction in a while, and it's just come back down, chopped around, and now we're back at what I would consider this LPS right here. So we're at a last point of supply. Shares are being absorbed by the bigger money interests. And you tell me, do you believe that right now with semiconductors and chips that ARM is set up for the future? Yeah, especially. So, what it's going to take is it could be this next earnings, November 5th. It could be some other news, it could be another one of those, they might join the circle jerk or something like that. See some money being poured into this. We should see a sign of strength pushing up to the upside on this. To add on to that, anytime I see a potential play like this, I like to go into STAX and take a quick peek over to see what's being purchased right now. That was weird. I don't know why it gave me stuff that was super old. Okay. As of today, right, we see these two puts in here. Okay, that's fair. They spent 1.3 mil, so 1.5 mil combined in here. But if I zoom back, look at this. ARM for February 180. Okay, so starting in October, we see all this money flowing in. Now the blue rows basically mean it is a unusual print, meaning that there is heightened risk when it comes down to them taking this position. Whether it's that they expect too far of a move, comparatively, it's not normal. You would have to have some sort of information to be betting on this type of thing, and that they're spending a fair amount of money on that type of, in terms of the time frame that they've been given. So, while these ones are a little bit pricey, I would even say this one is even crazier. They're betting by basically by the earnings, right? Because earnings is supposed to be November 5th. They're betting by November 21st, ARM is going to be headed toward 220. That's a 37% move from where they got in, around the 160 mark. It's already moved up a little bit past that, but for $2.13 per share, or $213 per contract, if this does make that move, this is going to be a multiplier, right? But 220, right? Look back at my chart. 220 for this. That's new all-time highs for ARM. But it is, with what my charts show, it is very possible for us to see something like that. So if I were to give you worst case right now, we might bounce down below here. They might not have gotten the perfect entry, but I would say comes up, then shoots up from there. Doesn't necessarily have to come down. It could just break above this resistance, this upper bound, and retest these other previous lines that I have drawn here. So I'll give you these ones right here. All right. Yeah, I think ARM is a really good potential play. What do I think about Amazon and Apple calls? So I was complete. Well, not. I'll say I wasn't completely wrong. I did give you both bullish and bearish scenarios. It looks like the bullish one played out, where we came back up to the top of this resistance and tapped upon this lower bound right away. I thought there would have been potential for it to go down. I do believe Wave X was giving us some mixed signals on this one. But we've already made that move back up. All right. Question here is, let's quickly look at here. We can always use our volume profile to kind of get a peek. We now are back above this point of control, or the lower point of control is down here at 185. But this next volume node at 221, we're now above it. So that should act as support for us now moving forward. If I look at Amazon on STAX, yeah, it's looking bullish as of today. It's looking very bullish as of today. So take a look at that. They're aiming for mid 2026, so June of 2026, 225. Those are already technically in the money. This 275 one is a little bit more aggressive, 21% move up. End of the year, 250, so another 10% move from where we're at. So definitely very bullish on Amazon right here. I'm going to screenshot this for our chat real quick. Go ahead.
We called the bottom on Amazon on stream today. So right now we have 229 as the catalyst, and then we had the bounce at the bottom of our supply zone. I have it posted in my channel. I'm like doing all my chart updates from today basically, because I'll use these for day trades tomorrow. And we're in Amazon 240 calls for a fun little lotto play. They were like $4 a contract, I think.
so Amazon definitely bullish. I just want to peek at WaveX, see if anything's changed with it. Spot price still might be kind of wonky right now. Snapchat's finally making its move back. I'll go over that in a moment. I don't know why this is. We'll come back to WaveX later. WaveX has been experiencing some technical difficulties today, but not going to stop us from making our analysis. Apple. Pull up the chart first. AAPL. That's why it's not pulling up. My bad. Apple testing all-time highs. Wouldn't be surprised to see some rejection before we go up higher. There is a gap down below. So I'd say worst case scenario, we come back down to fill that gap before we come back up. But it seems like their Apple iPhone sales have been going pretty well. We do have our earnings coming up at the end of October. STAX right now, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and you can kind of expect that when we are testing those all-time highs. So I would probably say what you're looking for, if you want something a little safer, I would wait for this all-time high to break and for them to close above it. Wait for the daily close above it and then consider getting into positions if we see that type of flow coming in on STAX. So if it breaks above and you just see all green coming in, that's your signal that Apple will be headed up for higher in due time. But as of right now, there is a lot of mixed sentiment on it. So I'm not exactly confident that we're necessarily headed straight up. There is, like, just right here. Yes, calls do beat out the puts, but there still is 10 million puts being taken right now. So that, they could be hedging. They could be preparing for that pullback, like I said. But the sentiment in here, I would just say there's probably some better plays to consider right now. Okay. Go through JD. There we go. So the thing about JD right now is it's real quiet on the China front right now. So China plays tend to come in these waves. So it's been a little bit quiet right now. It's, there was this gap that I said it was going to fill. It already did. We're really just waiting for this to, it's still making higher lows, but it could come back down toward like 34 or something like that before we see higher. The hard part about China plays is the fact that the majority of your moves are going to come overnight, just because, again, it's their stock market over there. And a lot of what we see in our market here is just mirroring what the activity is and the news is over there. So you'll see overnight type of moves on this. In our Discord, if you guys haven't followed him, Ducky, he's basically a whale at this point. He makes good money. All right, he has a TTD position where he put like 17K in, and it's sitting at $180,000, a 10x move already. And he's doing a 1K challenge, and JD is his biggest position in that. So he's expecting that position to possibly double or triple his 1K account, but he did buy some time for it. I think it is one of those things where we do see this cup and handle type of playing out. We also do have, it's kind of an ugly looking Wyckoff accumulation. Let me show you what I see here. Where this curve, you see the first move is, or the big cup is this one. And then the smaller cup is this blue line that I've drawn. The light blue right there. So, obviously it's not stretched out as I did here. But it's basically the same movements. You're just waiting for this. Right here is considered the buy up, the last point of supply. It's your last chance to get into JD at these lower prices. And we're going to see some sort of news that's just going to push this up back toward the upper range. So it could head back up past 40, up to 45. That move's going to be pretty quick. It's going to happen within a week. But like I've always said, options, hardest part about options is timing your plays. Sometimes you buy too little time. Sometimes you buy more time than you need. I'd rather be on the side where I bought more time than I needed. Max, can you do a little diving for me to figure out what strike they Ducky got in for JD? It should be under his channel.
Yep.
I do not think October 31st is enough time for this. That's just to here right now. So you're already cutting super close. I'm gonna tell you guys this. The sooner you learn that time is your friend here, the better off you're gonna be with your portfolio. Okay, I've said before, I don't trade SPY, QQQ, I don't trade Tesla. Some of the bigger names I try to avoid because my premium cannot stretch me and get by me enough time for my thesis to play out. Okay, you guys are already levels ahead of other people on Twitter and on Reddit at this point just by being able to see these charts in front of you, and then you're another couple levels up because you have us showing you the STAX flow. Okay, but don't take the newbie move and just look at and say, okay, well, these are the cheapest contracts I can get, so, and I can get 100 of these. Well, there's a reason why it's cheap, right? You know, you can fill your house with a bunch of dollar store items and continuously replace them every freaking month, or you can buy some stuff of quality that were made by people who know what's going on. That's the same thing with options. Options are situations where people are going to gravitate toward the ones that have true value. Okay? And I understand. I used to be, when I first started trading options, you know, it's great to see those short-term contracts play out because they're multipliers. You buy the weekly for something and it moves that week that you expected it to. Man, that's a, you know, 200, 300, 400%. I definitely had a lot of those when I was first trading options. But with as many of those that come along, you have minus 99 because you lost it all within the week. So the name of the game here is capital preservation. Do not go with something such short term, and especially just because somebody says it's going up. So I'm gonna gamble on it. Get the weekly. That's never gonna be my suggestion for you. At this point, buy at least January if you can. If you would like to and you can afford to go for June of next year. JD, once it plays out, will come back up to the upper part of this range, and we're waiting for a breakout. And at least that's what we see and are expecting when it comes down to what the charts and what STAX has to say.
Okay. So Ducky is in $40 calls for January 16th of 2026.
Yep.
And he got filled at 160.
Yep. Okay. So flow in here overall for what they've been buying is pretty good. The only issue is right now there's definitely a lot of calls that have been sold off. There might be a little bit more of a chop around before we see the full move. We also, and here's something I've been meaning to teach. So ignore the yellow line for now. That's not generating what we need it to. But right now we see the red line and the green line both below. This is more bearish than bullish because the red line is above, but both of these lines are down below the $0 line. What that will mean for you is the fact that both of them are being sold off. So there's no guarantee what side is technically winning out, if you may. There's you know, they've sold off the puts, they've sold off the calls. Yes, more calls have been sold off, so it's technically a little bit still more bearish. But I would like to see either of these lines up above the $0 line for me to get an idea of the big money sentiment. So you want to, you know, at this point, if you're bullish on JD, like we're waiting for this green line to be up in the millions above, up on top. Okay. Oh, another thing too is make sure that you're always checking what the premium numbers are here. Okay, I saw some people, yes, the green line's well above the red line on the right side, but ultimately you're only looking at $25,000 of premium being bought for a ticker. I mean, realistically, you know, that could be chemo gambling at this point. So, you know, big money will speak. You'll be able to see that, but you have to keep in mind how much money there is. Make sure you read the axis of your chart so you can double check on that too. All right. I wanted to share a few things in here. Oh, we got 5 minutes. Let's just see what comes in right now. We got 5 minutes till market close. Still got AMD, semiconductors, Nvidia being bought, Netflix, some money coming in for that. There is this look to Netflix where we might see it sell off a little bit more. It's a very expensive stock to be trading. I'm staying away from it right now. Gold has hit what, $4,000. So I mean, we keep devaluing the dollar. It's probably going to be a situation where we do possibly see it higher. I will say every time gold doubled from 2,000 to 4,000, there's probably going to be some resistance at 4,000. We'll probably see some selling. This is actually quite a short-term one too. This is just for October 22nd. I've noticed at the end of the day, especially for a lot of these end of day names that are attacking those all-time highs, you're gonna see puts coming in. What is a hedge fund? A hedge fund is a big group of money that's trying to keep the risk in their portfolio as low as possible. So if they have a lot of shares of these, they'll sometimes use, and keep in mind, options originally were used as insurance policies. Nowadays they're used for some people to gamble with the stock markets, but it used to be an insurance policy that were originated with the tulip market for farmers to be able to protect their harvest in the case that something did happen to it. So it's not uncommon for us to see near the end of day, once we get close to close, and the last 15 minutes after close as well for some of the ETFs, for us to start seeing a lot of puts being taken out to protect their positions. All right, a lot of QQQ selling off. Oh man, so EOSE is one where I was looking back at my records in my Discord channel, where I called out EOSE back in October of last year. So it's been a year now. And it was just finishing up the accumulation pattern. And as of right now, it's basically doubled its price. By the way, I want to share this with you guys. We got a little kitty here hanging out with us. My wife and I we foster cats. This is a little baby girl hanging out with us. She just finally got free roam in our house today. She's just running around having fun. I don't think my wife necessarily. I don't think we named her just yet, but we've got three of our own cats. She was a little singleton hanging out by herself, so she's a little bit rough when she plays. But now that she's got the bigger cats around, they're kind of teaching her a lesson of how to play around. So it's good for her. But she's just roaming around the house right now. She's snuggling up to my feet. Yeah, my wife and I, we volunteer for Love Your Feral Felines here in San Diego. My wife does a lot of the medical fostering for it, so every now and then she gives me this look of, hey, need to keep a cat in our bathroom for a few weeks so that they can get better. Name it STAX. The thing is, we can only name one of them STAX. We can't reuse names too often with them, so they really got to live up to the name. All right, coming up to close. I promised you guys today we're gonna go through I would consider it a little bit of a master class today. I wanted to share some things with you guys and make sure you guys understand the different things that we have in our Discord and in the tools that we have for you guys to use. Just like Stacy Supergal said, hit the like button for me, please, guys. I see 40 of you guys. The last live stream we did last week got 20 something likes. So if every single one of you do me a favor, hit that like button, the thumbs up, and that we can make it an all-time high for our live stream here. I would thank you from the bottom of my heart. The kitty would thank you from the bottom of her heart as well if you're able to help us with that. All right. Now, it looks like we just saw market close. I'll come back to this. We'll continue to use this to help us with our analysis. But let's jump into, I want to jump into the Discord right now. Okay. All right. One of the things I will say, if you're in our Discord, you're in our channels, you can go into my channel. You can go in here. You can hit in the channel, search in my channel, eRoo Trades, and search Wyckoff. Okay. I was going through this, and I believe last year in October, I posted some of these before they even happened. EOSE, okay, EOSE here, October 16th last year. We see this pattern, and I had it charted out. EOS, yeah, that was at $3.44, guys. $3.44. Man, I am kicking myself because I mean, the hard part is I got 100% on this already. But let's look at this chart right now. EOSE. Where are we now? Oh my god. Okay, so October of last year, we're down over here. $3, right? Came back down for 2. And look what happened. That buy up, last point of supply, broke up above, came back down, went up higher. You can consider that to be the sign of strength, but also for it to chop around. So this right here is, sometimes it can be very big. We noticed this with Alibaba too. Okay, but once the buy up has happened, once they've gotten themselves into those shares, then we see the next campaign for it to move up. So from where I called this out, all right, let's just say 330, up 350% for the stock itself. Okay, I was just looking at the position that I was in. I got over 100% return on this one to start off with. But if I'd held on to that one, you know, obviously it took some time. They were leaps. We purchased for, I believe November, but it was like the $7 strike or something like that. They're now in the money, and those are now, I think, an 800% return position. So, you know, I understand the idea of fast money. You know, trying to get those 0 days to expiration. We see those people on Reddit and on Twitter. Give me a second, bull run. I'm getting to the rest of those. This is just the first one. I'm trying to show you how these patterns work out. Yes, we saw some people bought weeklies of AMD and the news hit, but they took a very big risk, especially if they're putting in tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, it turned into millions. I took away your message. It's fine. I'm getting to them. But if you really want to make money in these markets, buy yourself time. I love it when I can get into some cheap leaps for the upcoming year with some sort of Wyckoff formation about to happen, because those are the ones that more than likely, if they do play out, can be those multipliers with a lot less risk and a lot less of a headache. Okay, so this is just one of those examples. EOSE, I had this charted out in our Discord last year, guys, and it's played out, you know, to the T, if I may. Going to the next one. like I said, we're gonna go through. We're gonna analyze some of these that I've put together for you, and we're gonna discuss them as best as we can. Unity. All right, this has started to play out already. I will be notifying you guys. There's gonna be a prime entry point that we're gonna be looking for. But Unity, we already made some bank off of this one too. This one back over down here at $21.95. Market cycle type of look. There's a lot of these charts in here. Okay. Okay. So remember, I called it out here at $21. We saw it chop around and all, but it started to move up, moved up to 33 in terms of this one. And this was me back in October of last year as well. Oh, sorry, not that one, this one. Took till July of this year. Sorry, so from October back here to June of this year, June and July of this year. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up Unity right now. It's a little messy. Let me clean this up for you guys a little. So okay, let me just take that off. Okay, so we called it out back here, right? I said October of 2024, so right around this range. We saw it move up to here by July this year. Saw it come back down. We're now at the top of that range, okay? So I can make this a little bit cleaner for you guys. Right now, we're at this top of the range SOS. My belief is we're going to come back down just a little bit. It probably wouldn't be a bad time right now to start a position in it, but there is a possibility we could come back to test a little bit lower. That would be a prime area for them to buy it up at. And there still is a possibility we could see some chop up here, but my target for this would probably be around that 47 range. And then if we do break up above that, just like you saw for EOSE, this could come back up toward $80-$90, but the question would be when. If I were you and I had a bigger, a larger portfolio to maybe buy some shares in and wait till 2027, 2028, we might be seeing this back in even triple digits in due time. But Unity is one of those ones where, again, I called it out down here during the spring. Obviously, it takes some time with these. This isn't something where you're just going to buy it for a week and then see that 100% return right away. You're taking on too much risk by doing so. By 2027, right now, we are starting to see some January 2028 type of prints come in too. And get yourself into those types of situations, which is going to be better off for the long run. I have been seeing some Unity come in here and there, but nothing that has made me say, oh, they're expecting this move right away. It's kind of chopped around recently. I already did make over 100% on this position. I got myself out for now. I will be looking for a re-entry soon. But they do have these January 2026 47, like I said, 47's that target. They got in back when it was $28 back in July, right? And then these big money ones back in May as well. $30 calls. Man, these ones ran up as well, because you can imagine if they were still in these from $26 run up all the way here till about what, $46. That's a that's a pretty penny right there in terms of that return. Go back into the Discord. What else did I call out? One of my favorite ones, we got to look at this. This is Lululemon. Lululemon, right before their earnings, I had this charted out. This is a distribution type of chart. It's basically the opposite, the upside down of what we see. So instead of a spring, it's called the upthrust after distribution. And we see it coming back down. We see them selling off hard at each of the levels. Buying climax and automatic reaction draw out our range. And until we break down below it, then we see some big signs of weakness. I don't know if you guys have been following Lululemon, but keep in mind this was me back in 6/6, right? June. So June of this year, right before their earnings, I called this out. Pull up our trading view. Lululemon. Okay, so number one, this was the chart I had. We were up in this range. Their earnings, they technically beat earnings here, but then we see a big drop down, and then we saw on the next earnings another drop down. So it went from a $315 stock when we were looking at it. It's dropped down to $174, $159, $160 at the lows so far. What I will point out too is I think we're going to start seeing accumulation here. So I would say give it time and we could see this coming back up. But if it were me and I see that it took here from, right, this took what? Oh, that's a little bit too far. 2,000 days for this to play out in terms of highs and coming back down. I would not be surprised for this to take, you know, at least 1,000, if not more. So I would say if Lululemon's got and continues to bring in money, probably 2028, 2029 is when we might see this headed back up. But we got to see where this where this accumulation phase starts to really play out. But we do see quite a bit of volume coming up here, which very likely could signal where we see the selling climax. And we could, you know, in a bigger range, probably maybe see something like this in time. Okay, but just pointing out, you know, if you guys have been in our Discord, I've been posting these Wyckoff charts for years now, and it's nice to see them really coming to fruition, you know, starting to play out the way that I've charted them. Like I've said, you gotta be patient with these guys. You gotta be patient. Lululemon's definitely on my radar right now. There was this thing with Amex. If you have one of their cards, you get like $75 per quarter to go spend at Lululemon. That's already pushed price back up just a little bit already too. But this is going to be one of those on the radar for the long term to see if it comes back and starts to make that recovery. Back into the Discord. Where's the one I want, guys? I will point out I was wrong about Tesla. I thought Tesla had a bit of a distribution look to it. As we know right now, Tesla's come all the way back up. So again, there are ways that, you know, we can protect ourselves. You know, if we're waiting for a breakout, we can wait for the breakout to get into those puts. But if it never does break out, one of the things about Wyckoff is it tells us not to get into the positions until the final phase of the move. So we're not trying to get in at the beginning of this, but we're waiting for these final signs to show up before we get in. And there were situations where you could have reversed this, and this started to look more like a reaccumulation signal instead. Chinese names. So K-Web right here. Gotta make sure that I'm showing you guys the right screen because it's not like Discord where I can just click away. Back to Discord. So K-Web here, showing that move that we have. This was back earlier in the year in February. Okay, February we see K-Web at $34 right here. Okay, you see where this alert is. This means that we actually, this was my original sign or signal for when STAX AI called something out. And if I go look at this and I go pick up my trading view, you can see that was back over here around the $34 range. We went up higher But this sign of strength, it came back down, and you can see this big area is basically, let me redraw this here. That's where our final consolidation at the top of the range. So this blue box is our full range. The top of the range is, you can imagine, this big wedge that we have right here. So it's a lot bigger than we expected. However, if you had bought shares there, right, 34 bucks or so, as of today, you're up at least 25%. Obviously not as much as you would like. Keep in mind, this is an ETF. ETFs are going to be the averages of all the big, of many stocks. It's a basket of stocks. So they tend to move a little bit slower. But at the end of the day, we do see this sign of strength moving up. I don't think Chinese names are done moving yet. I believe that we are just getting started with this. So this is going to come up. It's going to deal with this group of people up here between about 45 up to about 54. But if it's able to, it might chop around there, or it might shoot right through that area and that range. But again, another Wyckoff accumulation position that looks like, it played out according to these charts. The next one, I'm looking for it. There was Alibaba. I do have a video up from February on our YouTube that you guys can go watch as well. So just go look in the history of our YouTube videos. I did a Wyckoff lesson that you guys can go take a peek over at. This one is just happening right now. Grab. We saw this big move up from Grab. There's a bunch of commotion online, on Reddit, on Twitter, about Grab being the Uber of China and of the Asian countries. But at the end of the day, as of right now, it popped up towards $6, came all the way back down. So that's basically that sign of strength, that last consolidation range. As of today, this, I do believe, is a good possible play as well. Grab looking like, right? So we saw pop up here, came back down. It actually came all the way back down during the April tariff tantrum, down toward $3.40. Okay, but again, came down, took last supply, came back up. Now we're trading back up over $6. And we're in some positions where we do believe that as it continues to move up, we should be able to see this higher. We're in this for our 1K challenge right now. But we do have some time. I do believe we have till February of 2026 right now. So I do think we should move up higher pretty soon. I didn't go over American Airlines just yet. I'll get to that after I go through some of these today. We talked about ARM earlier. I do believe, I think we were just early on this chart here, so it's taken some time. It came right back down on this here. But we are still looking like now we're officially in that last point of supply as we go into the end of the year. So that's the ARM chart right there. Let me just pull up what it looks like as of today. So my original thought was that we were breaking out over here, but it failed, came all the way back down. Technically, you could even consider this a spring. Here, let me pull up the other one too. This one. I think this might be a better indicator of it. So you would call this one spring. Spring action, like a trampoline, came down right below the area, bounced right back up. Then our jump across the creek is over here with our last point of supply. So that's what we're saying about ARM. There's some strength going into this one too. Yeah, ARM 2.0 with ICC. I think it's about to happen. If we buy enough time for this one, I would not be surprised to see this back over $200 pretty quick. The move would be fast too, is the idea. Do me a favor, guys, hit that like button if you're enjoying this stuff. I still got plenty more to go over. I still got STAX AI stuff to go over with you guys. Here's the one I was been looking for. This was last year in December. I had Alibaba charted out here. Okay, Alibaba was trading at $82.28. Oh my god, $82.28. Man, you'd be kicking yourself for not listening to me. Let me clean this up for you guys, because I drew this out during live stream yesterday and it's just got all these markings all over it. I mean, you tell me. If you don't believe in Wyckoff right now, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so we drew this out back in December. Okay, so we're down here. December. Nobody, you know, it's that meme where everybody's lining up. There's nobody lining up for Alibaba at 85 bucks. You know, they think it's a dead company, which, by the way, they sell so much stuff all over the world. They still did back then. Then during January and February, we see a huge move up. So that's going to be considered our sign of strength. And then we do have a very large range in which we chopped around here. Okay, got a very large range that we chopped around here. At the end of that range, though, now we start to see another move up. So from where I called it out here in December, we are now up 113% on the stock itself. Tell me Wyckoff is lying. Come on, this is straight up. It's right in front of you guys. I still think we got more to go with it. We have not seen a buying climax just yet. We do have some volume here, but it's volume that has pushed up higher. You know, Alibaba in time, I do think could be back up over $200, back up toward 300 and stuff. And so I think that's just going to take some time. Obviously, you want to buy leaps if you can for this type of name, right? Another thing that really helped too is, I know they're not marked in here, but we did see some STAX AI prints for Alibaba come in. I think it's one of our biggest winners ever. During this big push up here, we saw some of our Alibaba prints. I think it was a 3,300% return. So basically $100 turned into $3,300. Okay, off of that Alibaba STAX AI print. So when Wyckoff charting helps is the first step. Number two, because this is basically the big money playbook. So when big money, in terms of what STAX is showing, starts to show those prints and they're buying millions and millions of dollars of it, you want to make sure that you notice it. And that's where STAX and STAX AI comes in. Obviously, if it's just a regular STAX print, if it's a lot of money, that's good to see. But STAX AI is always gonna sniff out the most unusual situations, and when those do come in, I definitely like to make sure that we notice it too. Okay. I don't know about you guys. Are you guys getting tired of this stuff yet? Are you enjoying this lesson? Let me know. See what else I got drawn for you guys. Man, oh, I know I had where I had Palantir and Robinhood charted as well, but Carvana. Okay, Carvana. This accumulation already played out. You guys know what Carvana trades at right now? $360. So accumulation happened and it just pushed all the way up. This was back in 2020 or 2022. Sorry. Take some time. Buy the time. Don't go cheap and go with the cheapest ones just because Just because it's cheaper and you think you're going to get a higher return out of it. I'll let you guys go through the rest of them yourself. Go ahead again in eRoo trades, search Wyckoff. You can see all of these that I've put together. You know, stuff like this. SoFi, we're seeing SoFi go higher. UNH, we saw this, we saw it come down. It's come back as well because I told you guys we're seeing volume come in, so this is a very good indicator that we probably see a bottom on that. Now there's a lot of possible plays for you guys, so don't hesitate to message me as well. You guys can always email me, or if you're in the Discord, send me a DM. Reminder, I'm never gonna DM you directly to ask you for anything, so you guys gotta initiate that for yourselves. But you know, there's a lot of indications here that right now we're going through this with a lot of different names. So this was Carvana, right? I showed you this down here back when it was at 20 something, $30. That would have been a 10x move right there if you had stayed in it. You know, you don't have to buy options, buy the stock. Okay. So what are my picks for right now? My picks for right now, because obviously what I just showed you was all the stuff that has already happened or played out, just to show you that this stuff is, you know, what Wyckoff has to say, what these charts are showing are real. Snapchat here is my favorite pick for right now, because as of right now, there's this giant buy zone down below. Every time I draw these green arrows, that's basically saying we pushed back up from that price very hard. And we're back into this zone, and we're kind of just chopping around in here right now. We saw our spring. We're starting to see ourselves move back up. It's going to take some time. That's why I do have some November contracts, which once we see a quick move, I'm probably going to sell off those for a little bit. But I do have January calls. I also have June calls for these. All of those have extremely high open interest right now too. But we're in this spring phase where we just need to see a sign of strength. I do believe earnings is going to be a catalyst. They do have their event coming up next week, which can also be another catalyst. I think it's headed up, and you know, conservative target $13, higher range 17, and obviously if you have enough time, could very quickly get up to about 25 if you have enough time to stay in this play for what we're looking at. This is one of my biggest positions right now, and I do think that if you haven't already gotten into it, there's definitely still time. We haven't broken out into the rest of the range completely at this point. And in terms of an Elliott wave impulse theory, we just did impulse 1. We're just consolidating, had a little bit of sell-off for wave 2. And wave 3 generally is going to be the biggest wave. This would be my conservative target. We could even see it move so hard that it does something like this. Okay, so that would be best case scenario, man. I think I'd probably make 100K on that move if that happened. All right, so keep in mind, I'm gonna draw that. I'm gonna leave that for now. We'll see what ends up happening. You know, if you're rewatching this in 2026, tell me if I'm right. All right, let me get into your AAL, American Airlines. I'm still in this position. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the ones that has kind of been, it's just been a headache, to be honest. We started getting in here because I thought this breakout was about to happen then. We came all the way back down to the lower end of this range. It still does look like it's coming back, but there's a lot of headwinds right now. So basically, what we do have is right now, the shutdowns are slowing down the airport traffic. People probably don't want to fly as much just because there's less TSA agents to deal with, and things are moving slower, air traffic control, things like that. So, you know, airlines are suffering a little bit, but once that gets relieved, there could very, very quickly be a pushback up. The thing I don't love about this is we've let a lot of time tick off the clock so far. So I do have the November contracts for this. I did average down. They're still down about 40 to 50% right now. Our portfolio is basically, our 1K challenge is basically being carried by a lot of the other plays that we made. So, you know, keeping an eye on this. There might be a time where if we see a big move back up, I might cut it early and focus on some of the other plays, because I feel like some of the other plays are looking a little bit better right now. But, you know, it's still playing out this accumulation. It's a small accumulation zone. Keep in mind, you do have, and it's this slanted version of it. You have this preliminary supply, a selling climax, your automatic reaction, and it's kind of slowly gotten higher. But again, it needs some sort of catalyst. If you're willing to, holding through next week's earnings is a possibility, where ultimately that could be the catalyst that we're looking for if they're able to report something solid or have some good news to help push it further up. But again, you know, I don't have a huge position in this, but I did average down just after it dropped so far. Realistically, and in some other cases, after it dropped about 30, 40, 50% here, a lot of people, I would have just suggested to get out of the position. Let's see, what else? Say. Oh, I want to go over Snow and PayPal. Snow, another one of those that has a very good looking Wyckoff accumulation chart. So first phase, preliminary supply, selling climax with an automatic reaction. Selling climax to automatic reaction draws out the top and the bottom of your range. Then we have secondary test. We tried to push up higher, came back into the range, saw a spring, which is right below the selling climax. Saw it push up, signs of strength with the last point of supply. Now we're back up above it. So Snow, I think in due time, we could very likely come back up toward 300. As always, question is going to be when. If you have like June of 2026, I wouldn't be surprised to see that 300 end up in the money. PayPal. My regret on this was not posting this one during market hours. As you guys know, you probably can hear him in the background. Got a 9-month-old now at home, and he's been taking up the majority of my time. Sometimes I'm not able to get to stuff till he's back in bed. But selling climax, automatic reaction. PayPal is severely undervalued right now. And we do have this range where we're starting to break back up into it. So I think we're seeing a last point of supply. People are starting to notice how undervalued it is. And PE ratio out of 15, there's talks about them being accepted as a form of, or them being one of the processors for cryptocurrency. So, you know, we'll see. There's a good possibility we are starting to see a push up. Maybe we'll see a sign of strength, come back up, retest this downtrend that we have, break up above. So the hope for this one is something like this. There is the possibility we're a little early on that. Who knows? It might come up, come back down one more time. But as of right now, with the way a lot of things are set up, that would be my thesis. And I still got 21 of you guys in here listening to me drone on about this stuff. Hoping you guys are getting something useful out of this. I'm also hoping this opens up some conversation either in our Discord, or you guys can email us. You can email me directly, eric@investorcentralclub.com. You can email our team at help@investorcentralclub.com if you'd like. But we are here to help if you guys have questions on how to join our Discord. There is a code for you guys, eRoo loves STAX. It's 20% off our STAX membership. For our Discord, you guys can use ICC10 if you'd like to. That'll get you 10% off your Discord membership. I'm in here more than I go to church. Well, I'm glad that you guys are getting at it. I'm glad you guys actually want to come and attend these and listen to me talk about charts and stocks. Feels good. When we first started this, guy, when we first started this, Max and I barely even hit 10 people watching at a time. So to see how much this has grown, it's great to see. Oh, I keep on doing this. I hate how the first one is the US dollar index on BitMEX for some reason and not Boeing. Okay. Boeing also has this accumulation look to it because we saw a big sell off and then in March 2020, and that did create a selling climax and automatic reaction, which does create this range. We are back at the top of that range. Chemo is probably the one I would trust the most when it comes down to Boeing. He originally, when he first started trading, he has a story about how he purchased a big bunch of Boeing stock in the 400s, and he saw it come all the way down. I don't know if he's still in that position necessarily, but it's one of his stories about how he started to realize, how the markets are being manipulated, how ultimately, there was a lot of push for people to buy Boeing stock at that point. As of right now, I want to say that here we got to go on to the weekly. This has been a 5-year accumulation, guys, and that's where you see some strong movements too. Preliminary supply, selling climax, automatic reaction, secondary test. We have, instead of it being a spring coming all the way down here, it's taking this light blue path up here, and we've curled right back up into the top of the range. So, just like what I drew here, I think we're going to see a little bit of chop around, but we should see a push up toward 240, break up toward about 277 is the other part. Probably have a range within there that we chop around until we move up higher. Time is your friend on this one for sure. Because keep in mind, this here is a whole 5 years right here of accumulation. Okay, it's been since 2020. RGTI, this one's hard. So whenever we do, so we see the accumulation down below. We see reaccumulation up over here. The hard part is now where this can go. It's completely uncharted territory, right? If you play video games, the map is black. You have no idea what's going to get revealed behind it. But I will say, my little prediction that from where we were, it's just going to curl back up, it's basically played out. Max has more to say on the quantum stuff than I do, but he does say RGTI is one of the stronger names that he would be willing to put his money behind at this point. Okay. I know we've already been on for a while now, but I had one little treat for you guys because I have this up though. I do the back testing for STAX AI. I do the back testing for STAX AI. Remember that STAX AI is what I like to consider the foundation for how good of a position could potentially be. Just wanted to review for you guys here. We did have 23 prints come in for last month, okay, for the month of September. In those 23 prints, 11 of them have gone and superseded the 15% mark in terms of what's considered a win. Okay, we do have quite a few of them that are hovering around that 10 to 14% range. So those very likely, I think, in a little bit of give it a little bit more time, give it another month or two, very possibly could end up becoming winners pretty quick. But interesting things to consider. MU, Micron, we got into some, we'll get into a couple of gambles every now and then. We did an earnings gamble for MU. Part of it due to the fact that we did see the STAX AI print come in. Unfortunately, the market makers were the winners. They let price chop around and dropped it a little bit. So this one wasn't a winner right off the bat. However, as of now, it's continued to go higher and higher. Micron is now up 24% from where they entered, making this position up 282% in terms of it. So that's one of the bigger winners that we have so far. LRCX 243%, Baidu with their AI announcement 360%, GLXY 109%. Lyft, like we said, already saw 113%. It's not quite there right now, but we did now recently just see some more Lyft prints come in. So that's what I would say is Lyft is looking like a very solid play going into the next few months. Tesla here saw a lot of push up as well, 194%. AMD, obviously, with their recent announcements, this is higher as of today, 432%. A quick little peek of what I do. I'll usually go and I'll pull up there. We'll see what it is today. 61.55 is where it was today. Let's go last 5 days. What was the high? 61.55. Oh, there we go. 61.55 as of today. Let's just update that real quick. Sheesh, 61.55. Update this to today. So 521%. All right, 521%. Baba here, obviously we're seeing some, it breaking out of accumulation, 355%, and Google 256%. The month before, also saw a lot of these blue boxes just are my indicator that they were misses, but now they're wins. Originally, there was, I think, 13 out of 22. I didn't include these two because they had just come in the day I did back testing. But as of right now, the month before, the month of August, now has a 91.67% hit rate. There's only 2 of them that are misses right now, and you can see they're not necessarily misses. They just haven't moved up just yet. Okay. Average return 200%. Tell me what other program is getting you that type of return. 200% in the course of about 2 months. Okay. This question right here by John spoke earlier about how STAX AI takes time and sometimes you'll have drawdown. How do you manage your stop loss, or how would you create them, or how would you treat them? One of the guys that is in our Discord, Dylan, is doing a 10K STAX AI, his own backtesting, or you can consider it his own challenge. What he's going to do is as soon as he sees a print come in, he's going to go and take a position according to what size he's determined from, to begin with. So I would probably say with his 1K or 10K account, you might consider, okay, I'm going to put in 1K for each of these positions to start. If it's a position where they're getting in and it's too expensive for me, I'm just going to ignore it, and I'm going to focus on the ones where I can, and I can buy at least multiple contracts for. He's also said he sets a blind take profit, so he automatically goes and sets it so that it's going to take profit at 40% no matter what. That way he doesn't even have to think about it, no emotions involved. Just if price goes to that level, he's going to take that profit. On the other side too, if it drops a certain percentage, so for some people they'll set it at about 33%. Some people are going to say if it drops 50%, I'm going to average down on that position. Either I'm going to buy the same amount of contracts, or I'm going to make sure I go spend the same amount of premium on that so that I can average down on that position. And if you do so and do that way, our other member Daniel did this backtesting, and he found that I think it's a very small percentage. I think it's about like 10 to 15% of these prints will go up right away. Okay, so from the entry, like I'll say Dell was one of them, where Dell's basically just gone up since we saw that print. But you'll notice a lot of them might have a dip beforehand, so sometimes it's worthwhile to wait a few days, wait for it to go down maybe 10, 15, 20%, and then open up your position then. That way, if it does go down further, you do end up with a better cost basis. I'll use Snapchat over here as my example. If you go look at the Snapchat chart where they entered $7.77, Snapchat actually dropped. Let me just pull this up. Snapchat dropped down below $7. Okay. So I was actually waiting for that. As it dropped down below $7, I ended up getting into that position. And therefore, instead of this just being about 80% return, mine were at about over 100% return for these positions. I actually didn't end up getting out of these just yet because I still think Snapchat is headed up higher. And another thing is the open interest on these is 150,000 contracts still open on Snapchat for June 2026. TTD is another good example. Very good. Where was, I don't know if TTD, oh, there we go. TTD right here. The trade desk, TTD, we saw an earnings situation where they dropped after earnings, and we saw STAX AI come in to purchase it. They got in at about $50 right there. $50.46 is what it says here. TTD actually dropped further. It dropped into the 40s. All right. But as of right now, remember, they have until 2027. I would say this created the baseline for me to at least have it on my watch list to consider it as a potential position. And as it dropped further, I was waiting to see if I could find a good entry point, and I did find an entry point along with the rest of the Discord. And as a result, we saw TTD bounce back up from that low. My position right now is closer to about 40 to 50% up. So again, and I didn't get as long-term dated. I got 2026. I will roll them out if I do need to. I didn't want to spend $965 on each of these contracts to start off with. So I wanted to be able to get some more contracts, and I did, with what the charts were showing, expected kind of a move back up into the range. So just use that. I do these back testings every single month. I do still have probably 300 something prints to go over from the previous months. But overall, our hit rate for our STAX AI over the course of almost basically 2 years of backtesting now, our hit rate is well over 90%. Our average returns is over 200%. Let me pull that up down here. Okay. I haven't updated this for the last 2 months, so August and September aren't in here just yet. But if you use 0% as your threshold for a win, we have a 93% win rate. But, again, some of them might be like, okay, a small handful of them are like 5 or 10% wins. And when you're playing options, I do understand those might as well be a loss. On the other hand, if you use 15% as your threshold, 86% win rate. So out of the 428 prints from up through last month, you can say 361 of those were considered wins. On average, the highs of the average, all of those prints average over 249%. One of the really interesting things, so I had somebody say, well, Eric, if it's not a win, basically I'm probably going to wait for it to go down towards 0. I was thinking, well, that's pretty fair. So if I did that, what would the overall highs still be? If you let all the ones that did not win go down towards 0, and you just lost the premium on those full contracts, your averages across STAX AI would still be 228% wins on each of them. So you would still be more than doubling your money. Remember, this is the return on it. So realistically, you can say multiply whatever you had by 328%. Okay. So I still have to finish up the backtesting. Please be patient with me on that. I got a lot to go through. I am in the discussion with some people to try to see if we can find a way to automate this so that as well we can eliminate the user error side of things. For example, if I go in here and I don't exactly find the highs, or I miscalculate, or I find the wrong number on them, it is a situation where if we can eliminate that, I do think it can make these easier for us to look back upon. And if I can just click a button to get this data to you guys, it'll definitely help. Keep in mind we got 4 new prints that came in today. October is looking like there's still money flowing in. But again, STAX AI, I like to say STAX AI strikes again, because at this point, I'm not surprised when we see 100%, 200% winner off of one of these positions, especially right before news or right before some sort of earnings thing comes in that pushes these options higher and higher. Let me think real quick. Did I have anything else? I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. We've been on stream for over 100 minutes now. If you guys are not already in STAX, I would suggest go check it out. Use the code eRoo for 20% off. You do also get, show you guys, in our STAX software, we do have a Discord plugin. Now, some people have complained to us that the Discord plugin isn't the best to use. So what I have offered for some of you guys is you can email me at eric@investorcentralclub.com, and what you'll basically do is you will join our Discord directly, so you can do it on your own personal app. I will verify that you have a STAX membership with us, and then I will give you the access to those directly on Discord, which definitely makes it a lot easier for you to access the channels and set your alerts and things like that. So if you're already in STAX and you want access to Discord, don't hesitate. Email me, eric@investorcentralclub.com. Let me know that you're looking for direct Discord access for STAX, and then I will help you guys get that set up. I think that wraps up a pretty strong closing bell show for today. As always, if you guys can do me a big favor, hit that like button down below for me. That way we can play the YouTube algorithm, get them to share our videos out with more people. Have a discussion with me if you're in our Discord or in STAX. You can email me as well. Let me know what you thought about things. And if there's anything that you want to see in our upcoming shows, you guys can always have that discussion in the chat box below. All right. I hear baby boy crying, so I'm going to get to it. Hope you guys enjoyed today's closing bell show. We will see you guys, if you're in our Discord and in STAX, we'll see you guys in our live streams tomorrow. Otherwise, on YouTube, we will see you guys next week on Wednesday, like we always do. Have a good rest of your guys' day. Enjoy your Wednesday. Hope you guys made some profits, and I will see you guys soon. Later, guys.